All right, those are desires due to biology. And so what we have, for example, we have hunger, we have hunger, we have thirst, we have sexual desire. All right, so there's a desire that we have due to our biology. In a good distinction, we can have this, we have these desires that are universal among the human race. Everybody has these desires. Then there's unnatural desires, which are desires conditioned by society. And those are more like sports cars, desiring sports cars and desiring to train Pokemon, right? Now, those unnatural desires, those aren't necessarily bad or good. They could be neutral, they could be good or bad. But, there's a difference between those. You guys see the difference between the innate and unnatural desires? Okay. But what we know is objects exist to satisfy all natural desires. But they may or may not exist for unnatural desires. So if you look at hunger, there's food. Thirst, there's drink. Sex, there's sexual relations that are available. And then also, if you think like innate desires, if we came across like an alien race where they had a sexual desire for an opposite sex that didn't exist, we would kind of find that really peculiar, wouldn't we? I mean, that would be kind of unthinkable. So there's an example of that an innate desire has to exist. However, unnatural desires don't have to exist. So like sports cars, we have sports cars, but Pokemon, unfortunately, we don't have those. We can't trade those, except in video games. But that's a little different. But anyway, happiness, we get down to the bottom here. Happiness is a natural desire. So happiness, if that's a natural desire, then we know that there's an object that exists to satisfy that desire. And we know that happiness is a natural desire because all humans desire this happiness. And it's more than just being satisfied. It's more than eating a meal and then just being satisfied from that. But it's lasting happiness that everybody, there's just something more that we want to get to. So anyway, we move on to premise number 2. Actually, can you go back to that previous, the first slide? No object in the world can satisfy the desire for happiness. Okay, so let's go. Yeah. Okay. So, we always see people around the world asking, is there more than this to life? And no matter how much stuff we get, we're never satisfied. People are looking for, 10% more. People are always looking for, a new sports car and everything. There's all these objects that people think are going to make them happy, but, they just never get there. And explaining this premise, that's about as best as I can do. So I consulted C.S. Lewis. He had a really good passage on this in Mere Christianity in his chapter, Pope. And what he says is, there are all sorts of things in this world that offer to give it to you. He's talking about happiness here. But they never quite keep their promise. The longings which arise in us when we first fall in love, or first think of some foreign country, or first take up some subject that excites us, are longings which no marriage, no travel, no learning can really satisfy. I'm not speaking of what would ordinarily be called unsuccessful marriages, or holidays, or learned careers. I am speaking of the best possible ones. There was something we grasp at in that first moment of longing, which just fades away in reality. I think everybody knows what I mean. The wife may be a good wife, and the hotels and scenery may have been excellent, and chemistry may be a very interesting job, but something has evaded us. And so from there we get a feeling that he's able to identify that there's this happiness that we all long for, but through worldly things we can never quite get there. And so we get to our conclusions that, first of all, happiness exists in everybody, and nothing in the world can give us that happiness. So therefore, there must be an object outside of the world that can give us that happiness. And we call that object God and life with God. And we conclude that there's a craving, there's a longing in our human hearts that nothing on this planet can satisfy. And we're all meant to adore God, and there's just nothing else in the world, no object, no person. If we get married, our spouse can't satisfy it, only God can. And so now I think we'll open it up for discussion.